Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday and it's 10 o'clock. It's time for 10 with Tim. I am so into this story right now. We're in 2 Samuel, going verse by verse through the Word of God. And today we're in chapter 19, verses 1 to 23. Yesterday we left off with David having received the news of the death of his enemy son, Absalom. And the story just ends, that chapter ends with David just mourning and weeping, my son, my son, my son. We understand that David is a father, and we understand the breaking of his heart. And we understand at this point the rawness, the nakedness, and the fact that no one comes to comfort him in his grief. His grief is just too raw. And some of you have been there, and I'm aware of that. And that's why chapter 19 may kind of disturb you, because life's got to go on. And for David, it's got to go on now. David is a father who is grieving. He's also a king who is victorious. And it's such a very difficult place for him to be. It's so difficult for him to perform his duties as a king, because understand, the rebellion led by his son Absalom is over. But David himself was run out of Jerusalem, and now he has to do several things. He has to show real appreciation and reward his army, his soldiers, his supporters, the people who risked everything for him. He's got to show proper appreciation to them. And rolling around on the floor crying for the death of the traitor, his son, is no way to show appreciation. And then he's at the same time needs to stand up and sort of reassure those who this whole time were neutral, the ones who sort of stayed in between, waiting to see who was going to win, and then they would take sides with the winner. You know, David now needs to reassure those who've been on the fence, and then most important, perhaps, he's got to win back those who had thrown their support behind Absalom. He's got to begin to unite this country. This is the aftermath of a civil war, and the king's got to be on the job. Now, I don't know exactly how David, the human being, David the father, David the grieving man with a heart shattered in a million pieces, how he's supposed to, put his robe back on and go back to work. But that's exactly what has to happen. And Joab knows it. And Joab is just the kind of loyal, unmoved, person. Joab just has the ability to see what needs to be done. And he doesn't really have a lot of emotion caught up in it. And Joab just sort of walks in verse 5 and, has sort of a come to Jesus moment with David. In my mind, I compare it to the whole beautiful conversation we had with Pastor Nathan, when David had sinned and Nathan comes in, and tells a story and has an invitation and, several songs of worship. I mean, Nathan did it beautifully and Nathan did it right. He's a professional prophet, and Nathan's confrontation of David was just extremely well done. Joab is really not that guy. Joab isn't the one that's going to come in and put his arm around you and break it to you, gently. Joab comes in and just gives David a kick in the seat of the pants. He said, you have to get off your royal fanny, get out there, because we need a king, and you're the only king we got. But if you don't step up and be the king, you won't have a kingdom by night. I mean, Joab tells the truth. And honestly, in many ways, any of you who've ever just been lost in grief, you need somebody who can think, somebody who can think clearly. I mean, sometimes, when you're in the position David's in, you just need somebody to come and tell you to breathe and get up and take a shower and go eat your breakfast. I mean, you just need somebody literally to tell you, the next move to make. The problem here is that David is the king of Israel, and this is not a time to be idle or lost in your own emotions or paralyzed by grief. This is no time to be absent from the public eye. And so Joab gives him to it. I mean, Joab's tough. He says, you know what? I had my rear end on the line for you. And a lot of us, I think it's ironic, we saved your life today and the lives of your sons. Really, Joab? I mean, I think you're the one that shoved 3 daggers into the belly of Absalom. That's just me saying that. But when Joab says, I saved the lives of your sons today, Did you though? But anyway, we'll move on. Saved your life to the lives of your sons, your daughters, your wives, your concubines, and then you come in here and make us feel sorry. You make us feel ashamed for fighting your war and bringing you victory. You're making us feel like we did something wrong, because understand the mixed message. They're loyal to the king. They risk everything, they risk their lives for the king. They save his life. They restore him to the throne, and he's rolling around the floor crying about it. Joab's saying, it's like you value the life of a traitor. He's talking about Absalom. It's like you value the life of a traitor more than you value the lives of your loyal subjects. Get it together, David. Joab, that's the way he talks to him. You're going to have to pull yourself together. Yeah, you got an army out there that's waiting to hear, something from you. They need to hear you say good job. They need to receive rewards for you. They're out there feeling like they did something wrong because the king's in here like he just got bad news when we won the battle. Understand that? So amazingly, King David obeys Joab because Joab's right. He's right. And he's exactly right. And this is what David has to do. So then David begins to go through the motions of what he must do to reunite the kingdom. It's interesting because in some ways this plays the movie backwards. Remember when David left Jerusalem and he ran into Ziba and he ran into Shammai? Don't even bring him back up. He runs into Shammai and Mephibosheth. Well, he's going to do all this in reverse order now. He's coming back into Jerusalem, and he encounters the very same clowns who have to face him now as a victorious king, restored to his throne. So first off, it's the general populace, especially all the tribes of Israel, but especially the tribe of Judah. That it's David's own flesh and blood. These are David's people, but they had sided with Absalom, and so first David has to, confront the elders of Judah, and there's quite a bit of political negotiation going on here. Don't miss that. This is David being a politician, and he's got to win back those southern tribes, win back Judah that had sided with Absalom. And as a part of that, he does kind of an amazing thing. He replaces Joab. Remember, I was just telling you, Joab was up in his face telling him the truth, and I don't know if David's angry. We can assume by now, David's never asked any questions out loud, but we can assume that David knows that Joab's the one that killed Absalom. So we don't know if this is out of anger or just political expedience. It's the right political thing to do. But David replaces Joab, his loyal general, his loyal commander, with Amasa. Remember, that's like the idiot cousin of Absalom that Absalom placed in charge of his armies. He had no resume, and now the only thing on his resume is a failed battle, where Absalom got killed. And I don't see exactly what his military, qualifications are, but this is a shrewd political move. Because David, the man of blood, don't forget, is able here to demonstrate his largesse, his grace. He's able to show that he has no intention of seeking revenge against those who sided with Absalom. Again, this unifies the country, and this is what he's doing. So by promoting Amasa, who was Absalom's general now, he replaces Joab with Amasa. It signals that the country's coming back together, that David's not going to, exact revenge, that he's just going to, concentrate on being the king of all of Israel. Understand? It's good politics. It's really good politics. But then, oh my goodness, y'all, Shammai, I really thought we were done with him. And I'm telling you, I hate this guy. I'm not supposed to hate. I can't stand this guy. You don't like him either. Nobody likes this guy. This is the guy that was ridiculed, was cursing David when he's leaving Jerusalem. Remember that? He was throwing sticks and stones and dirt and, calling David all kinds of names. And, David, you so ugly. Your mama's so big. It's just, I can't stand this guy. That's the guy, where Abishai said, can I just go up there and put my fist in his mouth? Can I just go up there and take his head off? Okay. Well, Shammai's back. He's back. But this time, oh man, is he just... he's a little extra for me, I'm telling you. This time, Shammai shows up like he's David's best friend. So David, first off, dude, I've got to apologize for, if I said anything earlier that maybe could have been taken, the wrong way. I didn't mean any of that. If I hurt your feelings in any way, or if I said anything, I just want you to know, I just want you to pay attention. I'm the first one here. Welcome you back into town. I'm the first one. I mean, I didn't make, that's what he says. That's what he says. And I'm telling you, good old Abishai said, David, how about now? Can I take his head off now? Abishai's like, would you please just let me, take him out for good? Can I put my fist in his mouth now? Can I take his head off now? And David says, no. Again, it's good politics. David is demonstrating, I'm not coming back to seek revenge. I'm not coming back to continue to see, people of Israel as enemies and loyal subjects. I'm going to be the king of all of Israel. I'm going to see everybody as loyal subjects, and we're just going to move on. Now, if you're interested, 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 8, David leaves like a little note for Solomon when Solomon's a king. And in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 8, you understand David didn't really forgive Shammai. I mean, so don't think, David's so great. David's great, but not exactly. David did the political thing here and let Shammai live because it's good politically. But later he says, Solomon, if you ever find a way to drop a piano on Shammai, I think that would be a good idea. If you can just arrange for a city bus to run over him, that's going to be a good move. So again, it's not David at this point really showing grace. It's David doing his job as a king. He's doing his job as a king. To do that, he had to stuff a lot of grief, a lot of emotions to the very back of his mind and heart. He's going through the motions, but he's doing the right thing at this point to unite the country. We'll pick up here tomorrow, chapter 19, verses 24 to 43. We got Mephibosheth coming up next in line, and David will continue to take his throne and to reestablish the unity that is needed with the people of God. I'll see you in the morning. I love you guys so much. Listen, have a good Tuesday, and to stay in the Word, and I'll see you in the morning at 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim. Love you guys.